add up, or if they lied, create a list. And you guys were coming after me because I was saying, look, we can write into our imaginations how Erika is thinking or how she's feeling or what she should be wearing, but she hasn't actually said anything yet, right? That was my stance. She hasn't actually said anything yet. Give her a chance, okay? And now she is making the rounds in the press because Charlie's book, his posthumous book, is coming out about the Sabbath, and she's speaking about the quote-unquote conspiracies as she sits down with a lot of these news anchors. So first and foremost, she's sitting down here with Harris Faulkner, and I just want to show you a couple of clips from this sit-down, which is now trending. And she begins by addressing the question, which has been in the air, regarding where Charlie Kirk is buried. That question resurfaced this week in a big way because Milo Yiannopoulos and a few others have asserted with absolute certainty that Charlie has not yet been buried. That's what they're saying. They say they have proof of that. And at first, Harris Faulkner is asking about that claim. Take a listen.
Talk to me about this part of the conspiracies that are out there, this disturbing part that people are trying to guess where Charlie is.
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing? Can my children have one thing? Everything was public. We will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point USA, and it will be for the world to see, and it will be spectacular, and it will have basically museum style for our Charlie, for my Charlie. But can I have one thing? Can my babies have one thing where we hold it sacred, where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there praying? One thing, that this is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that, but this is my husband, and I want to be able to have one thing left that is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents. One thing.
Okay, so on its face, I actually agree with that. I think that when people are being buried and where they're being buried and how their funerals are done, that is very private matter, okay? So objectively, I agree with what she's saying, okay? But subjectively, because we are dealing with the subject of Erika Kirk and what transpired immediately following Charlie's assassination, this is going to be read as Meghan Markle syndrome, okay? Meghan Markle syndrome, where you want privacy when you want it, but you want publicity whenever you want it, and that just doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work that way. I honestly think it was said best by Bethany Frankel, not related to this situation. Bethany Frankel is on Real Housewives, a reality show. And she was referring to one of the housewives who lived her life very publicly, showcased her marriage, was buying tons of Louis Vuitton bags, and they had tons of money. And then when their relationship soured, the housewife basically asked the public for privacy. And Bethany was like, no, this isn't how it works. Like, we were riding with you on the way up, we're riding with you on the way out. You don't get to like pick and choose when you want privacy and when you don't want privacy. And subjectively, as it, you know, in the matter of Erika Kirk, this is the same person who had somebody record her over Charlie Kirk's casket. That was not our business, truly. And I can say that decision was made by her, and there is, some credence to the claim that everybody grieves differently. I wouldn't even record myself over a casket ever, okay? Some people maybe perhaps want to have that memory, but the decision to publish that, you crying over your husband's casket, and to publish his dead body on Instagram was a decision that was made by Erika, and we can watch that. Take a look.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
That is an incredibly personal and an incredibly intimate moment that you invited the public into, okay? There was no reason to do that outside of wanting to share something that was very private with the public. And now you fast forward 3 months removed, and it's why does the public want to know where he's buried? It doesn't work like that. You have to make a decision. I want this always to be private, or I want this always to be public. That's my personal feedback there. Later on in this same interview, she launches into a strong defense of Turning Point USA employees who have, just as a matter of fact, told many lies, many inconsistencies. These are verifiable. So they are currently lying to the public, or they have lied to the public, but she is going to deliver quite an impassioned defense regarding these particular individuals and the organization as a whole. And I want you to hear her passion. Take a listen.
What are they taking from you right now?
Nothing. But I will tell you what they are doing. It reminds me so much of chapter 6 in the book of Nehemiah. He is building a wall, and the townspeople are at the base of that hill saying, Nehemiah, calling him all these names, saying all these things, come on down. Every single time he had the same message 4 times in a row. I cannot come down. I am busy building. That is how I feel. I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. My silence does not mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We are busy building. And you know what I thought? I thought these people are human. We are all grieving in our own way. And they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard. And I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
You know what?
I'm sorry, but that whole thing right there is frustrating, and I'm going to explain to you why. I just do not accept any of that. First and foremost, the idea that she does not have time. Okay, she definitely has time, okay? She's done Hannity, she's done The Five, she's done Fox and Friends, she's done Outnumbered, she's done Megyn Kelly Live, she sat down with the New York Times. She made time, by the way, in case you don't remember, to fly to DC for Sergio Gore to be sworn into the ambassador to India, as the ambassador to India, which feels kind of obscure and not necessarily related to Turning Point USA affairs, building affairs, or whatever it is. But sure, that's fine. I mean, obviously, you're also allowed to be a person if that's the homie and that's what you want to do, sure. But we are indeed speaking about a coast-to-coast flight to stand up next to somebody and basically say, Charlie loved you. That was like the, whatever, 15-second speech that she gave, right? Here's actually, we have a clip of that speech that she gave.
Well, he was also very good friends with a guy named Charlie. We just knew him as Charlie. And his wife, who we love so much, is here with us. And maybe, you know how close they were together. Maybe, Erica, you could say a couple of words, please.
Charlie loved you. It's hard not to get emotional because I know that he would have been the first phone call when he found out that you were going to be taking this position. And the way that I was able to witness the two of you work together for years and to champion and support the president was absolutely humbling to witness. And I am so proud of you. And Charlie is going to be with you every single day in spirit. And I will be praying for you every day because I know that this is just the beginning of an incredible opportunity for you. And sir, thank you for allowing Sergio to have this beautiful moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
That's just an ambassador to India swearing in ceremony. Again, if that's your friend and you want to be there, that makes sense. She's also a person, and she can decide what she wants to do there. But the point that I'm making is that's a coastal flight that she made to be there to watch a paper get signed. She has also made time for an upcoming CBS News town hall sit down with Barry Weiss, which was filmed today. So Erica Kirk has time. She has time. It is just what she means to say, not her priority, which is you are allowed to prioritize things in your own life. But this is not a matter of time constraint. It is not her priority to respond to the majority, actually. The majority of people think of this as BS. The majority of people think Turning Point is acting suspicious. And she does not feel that it is what she wants to do as a matter of priority, responding. Okay, that's fine. Now, to that point that people are making hundreds and thousands of dollars, I just don't get how there's not someone on this very large PR team, as we're seeing these PR campaigns go out, that doesn't go, hey, maybe we should strike that. They made $40 million like 2 nights ago at Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that feels kind of a little bit like let them eat cake-ish. Oh, and we've made more than, separately from Mar-a-Lago, Turning Point USA, since Charlie was killed, just so you guys know, this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago the other night. So since Charlie has died, that organization has taken in $140 million. But gosh darn you people that are making hundreds of dollars every day on YouTube talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination and the BS narrative that is being fed and the very obvious psychological operation that is being employed to make you accept the BS that they are trying to sell to us. Gosh darn you. Did you make $1,000 today speaking about Charlie Kirk? Well, you should be ashamed of yourself, says Turning Point USA, who in large part made that money because of those very people who gave to the organization immediately following Charlie Kirk's assassination. And the thing that is especially absurd about that is trying to almost like, I want to be clear that Turning Point USA is my family. The Charlie Kirk show is my family. She's just expanding the wings of people that we're not allowed to critique because they're in the family. If you call them fam, you can't critique them, right? Oh, I'm sorry. We actually are showing a clip of Rob McCoy defending a pedophile or trying to launder reputation of that's fam. That's the CK show fam. Oh, I'm sorry. We are actually pointing to the fact that we know for certain that this person or organization is sexual deviant. That's fam. That's don't you get me upset. I know that this is a now $150 million in the last 3-month organization and we employ tons of people, but you can't critique. You can't critique the fam. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to be very clear here. This is why there are many people who do not believe that women are equipped to lead companies, because what you are watching here is an unbelievably emotional response that is absent of any logic, okay? If you really care about your team, answer the questions, okay? Just demystify the entire event. Come out, sit down, answer the questions so people don't think Turning Point USA looks so suspicious. Don't try to mom the organization and say, well, mother's upset because people are coming after her kids and all of the multi-million-dollar subsidiaries. That's my children, okay? The multi-million-dollar subsidiaries, Turning Point, like Turning Point Action, all that, those are my kids, so you can't critique them. Not a good idea, okay? It may work in PR world. You guys, I know it's an obvious PR campaign. It's never been more obvious of a psychological operation. I actually wish they would put me on payroll so I could help them make these things look more organic than having every single person that has been telling us to stop asking questions all make the exact same video within 4 seconds of each other being like, whoa, Erica Kirk shuts down no, she didn't even respond to one of the conspiracies. She gave us emotion. She said, I'm a mother, I am a wife, and we never asked about whether she was a mother or wife. We want to know if she is a CEO and a chairman. And a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize. A CEO and a chairman cannot respond to valid questions and critiques about finances, about shady actions that are being taken by people that require presidential pardons, people that are meaningfully asking why we are not getting a clear answer of what took place on September 10th. A CEO, okay, does not get to respond and say, that's my family. Okay, that's the energy of what I would expect from a mother speaking to a teacher, which I was this mom, like that's my kid, okay? And I'll shut this down right now. That's my child. This is not a child. Turning Point USA is an organization, and Erica already had an uphill battle to climb, like that she had to climb this because, by the way, just because if this was Goldman Sachs and the president of Goldman Sachs or managing director over at Goldman Sachs died in a horrifically violent way, the Goldman Sachs family might mourn for a couple of months, but they would have instantly had someone to replace that individual. And beyond that, they would have never accepted the public and the people that are investing money. They would have never accepted, well, he's gone, but here's his wife. She already had a hill to climb here, right? Like, this does not make you qualified because you love someone to take on their job. I am not qualified to do what my husband does. That's why I said I wouldn't want to be the CEO and the chairman of a company. Actually, there's a great clip of Jordan Peterson asking that very question, like, why do women want to be? Like, why would you want to have? It's actually a lot of work, and it's very stressful, and it's a lot of numbers, and you're crunching numbers, and you have to be everywhere, okay? If you want that, great. If you built the company and you're in the room, like Charlie Kirk did, and you have proven to the public, like, hey, I built this company, I didn't even go to college, and I've been doing this for over a decade, as Charlie Kirk did, you've earned that street cred, okay? So she already had a hill to climb because now they're saying, well, this is his wife, and so, you know, that's it. Well, now you're gonna have to prove that you have the ability to be a CEO and a chairman, and not just a wife who we expect emotion from, and you're rightful in that capacity. You are rightful to have emotion. You are rightful to be the aggrieved widow, but you don't get to just be widowed into the position of chairman and CEO. You don't get to respond to, well, in this case, investors, donors who have given money and are asking meaningful questions with no, you don't get replies right now because this is the Charlie Kirk show, fam. Doesn't work this way, okay? And the broader point, removed from Erica, which a lot of these mockingbird influencers seem to be making, is essentially they're saying to us that scientific inquiry and investigation in and of itself is now patently wrong, right? Essentially, we should just trust state. Don't believe your own instincts. Don't believe your own eyes. Don't ask any questions. And I really want to stress to you guys how utterly ridiculous that logic is, right? Because if we follow that logic in any other situation, there would never be a crime solved ever, okay? If we just ascribe to the idea that scientific investigation is on its face wrong, it would not work. I'll give you a crappy analogy here, but imagine if there's like some young mother and she dies suddenly in the middle of the night, presumably in the middle of the night, and her husband is the first one to report it in the morning, and the cops show up who happen to be his buddies. They get there, and then they dramatically close the case in 48 hours, and neighbors are like, wait a minute, excuse me, officers, actually, you might want to know some other facts here about this guy. Like, you know, he's in the mafia. These people would be like, how dare you question the people closest to, he loved her, that's his wife. Being a gang member is not evidence. Why are you saying he's a gang member? It's not evidence. You get another nosy neighbor who produces evidence that in the middle of the night before she died, they saw the guy outside, the husband outside, removing cameras in the front yard. That's not evidence. Yeah, but I saw him go out in the middle. He put something in his car in the trunk. He was looking shady. That's not evidence. How dare you find that to be suspicious? More nosy neighbors start discussing, and they were like, hey, we heard them. They were having actually a heated argument before she was found dead. I think it was about money. All of a sudden, the next thing you know, you got Allie Stuckey from the HOA. She blasts out an email and she says, it's unbiblical. It's unbiblical to gossip. Hearing an argument is not hard evidence. You have no right to discuss it. Yeah, we're the nosy neighbors, okay? We put together a list of 20 verifiable lies that have been told in the weeks following this sudden death event. And yeah, we have some questions. So we're not gonna accept Tim Pool jumping on the airwaves with big estrogen energy telling us we're evil because we have like school board elections next Thursday. We're the nosy neighbors. We don't care about the elections coming up. We want to know whether or not we are in bed with people who are capable of murder, people that are capable of covering up murders. Actually, we, the nosy neighbors, feel a little bit less safe in this neighborhood until we know whether or not there are some psychopathic killers in our midst. How about that? That's how I feel. I think that's how a lot of people feel right now, so I want to express that. And this psychological campaign filled with emotional manipulation and how dare you, and the aggrieved widow speaks, and so you're not allowed to question a $150 million organization. No, I reject it. I reject that 100%. Which is why I will say it has arrived as a blast of fresh air that on this very same day, Tucker Carlson is standing up to the nonsense. He's not speaking about Erica, obviously. He is friends with Erica. But just the nonsense of what the FBI is saying, he's wading in and saying, yeah, the FBI is not being clear in what happened. And I have questions because, and I think it feels like a blast of fresh air, because I know many people at home, are seeing all of these people that we followed and we thought that they were heroes, and suddenly this assassination has exposed them all to be frauds. Like for the right price, they will join Operation Mockingbird. For me personally, that is how I feel, okay? Like people in the military that I thought were forthright, people that were journalists that I thought were forthright. I just am so let down, and I don't think I would have been able to handle if Tucker Carlson was among those people. You need hard evidence. As if the killer's going to walk in and be like, okay, here's how I did it, okay? I'm going to give you the hard evidence. I was here, there. Like, what? Instead, Tucker Carlson is coming out and he is blasting the corporate and the Fed narrative with common sense. He joined Theo Von, and here is what he had to say. Take a listen.
I don't understand the official story at all.
Of the assassination?
I don't understand it, and I want to make sure that there is a truly rigorous and honest federal investigation of it, and I'm definitely concerned about that. A. B. I think that I don't know many of the details, but I know that recently Candace said that Egyptian registered aircraft were following Erica Kirk Charlie's widow around for a number of years in different places in the world. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard, and I just want to say that is factually true. That's true. So that's like the one data point that I happen to know is true. What does that mean? I have literally no idea. I can't even guess, but that's very, very strange.
And what is Egyptian? It could mean aircraft from Egypt. Who knows?
I think that they were registered in Egypt.
Got it.
And but that fact is true. So and it also her claim that there were kind of a disproportionately large number of foreign registered cell phones at the event. That's also true. So what does that add up to? I don't know, but it means that the FBI has a moral and legal obligation to look in every direction and to be open-minded, as you would in any investigation, in journalism, in science. It's all the same process. I don't know the answer, and I'm going to sift through everything as open-mindedly as I can, as honestly as I can, to get to what the truth is. That's science, that's law enforcement, that's journalism. It's all the same. That's justice. And I just want to make sure that is happening, and I just don't have a ton of confidence in the FBI or the men who run it. And I'm not saying that out of ignorance at all.
That's a scary part too.
I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying I think it's really important that we have that.
That is what authenticity sounds like, and that's what we're doing here. We are investigating, right? Sometimes you get something wrong, you correct it, but I was right about the Egyptian planes. And when you hear Tucker Carlson say that he is confirming that part is true, what I take from that, Tucker Carlson has been very clear. He grew up with CIA agents, okay? This is a guy who grew up in Virginia. His father, he learned after his father died, he thought he was just working with the CIA. No, his father was on the payroll of the CIA. So Tucker's friends are in the state. So you should take it as a concrete fact that there's something up with these Egyptian planes, and they were in fact following around Charlie, and they were following around Erica, as I told you. And that means people in the NSA, the CIA, are confirming that is real. And yet, just last week, what we got from Blake Neff, and I know he's untouchable, he's in the fam, but I'm going to go ahead and touch that and say, this is not okay, the vibe is not right, is making a mockery of it. That is what we mean when we say none of this is passing the vibe check with Turning Point USA. There's no clear answers. There's mockery, there's laughter, but there's no clear answers. And the mockery and the laughter is not working. Neither is this idea that, well, now the widow has spoken. We're not dealing with the widow. We want the CEO and the chairman of Turning Point USA to answer. Okay? If you can't compartmentalize, then I don't see how you're going to be able to lead this organization in the future, because Charlie worked. We knew who Charlie was because he was authentic. Okay? He didn't just go, well, I only make time for like big pocket donors. Okay? He was sitting college campuses, he was speaking to people, understanding people, he was changing his ideas, and he was changing minds. And you are not changing my mind about the fact that something weird happened that day and that TPUSA is acting funny because you give it an impassioned plea and speak about Nehemiah on Fox News. Okay? None of it makes any sense. Anyways, Tucker then goes on and states the obvious predicament further, which is that we just don't have any faith in the government. Take a listen to him discussing some of these lingering questions.
Here's what I am concerned about. A lot of things. One, he acted alone. Tell me how that worked. None of us really act alone.
It's hard to go anywhere by yourself, too.
Thank you. Exactly. You acted totally alone. Okay. You're going to have to prove that to me. It's totally possible. Anything is possible. Weird things have happened. We'll continue to. But that's not my default assumption, and it shouldn't be yours. And their default assumption was we acted alone. Really? Why do you think that? What about life suggests that people typically act alone? When was the last time you acted alone in anything? I don't go, right? So A. B, we know that people had foreknowledge of this because they posted about it on X and said Charlie Kirk is going to be killed on this date, and he was.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
Like, were they just guessing? Was it a guessing thing where every day they posted that?
Maybe. Have those people been interviewed? Have they been hauled into FBI HQ and had a long conversation with how they knew that? Like, let's get really specific. Why did you post that? Who have you talked to? Like, if I were doing this investigation, because I spent my whole life doing non-criminal investigations called journalism, like, what do we know is true? How do we find out? Call everybody. Be open-minded. It's like it's the same process. If I was doing this investigation, they would be at the very top of the list. Tell me how this guy who seemed normal became a radical trans furry murderer? It's not enough to tell me, oh, trans. I'm not pro-trans, by the way.
But was that the guy or his boyfriend?
Well, exactly right. Tell me how this guy became so radicalized that he murdered a stranger. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I want an explanation for how it happened. Why wouldn't I?
I agree.
Oh, we can't talk about that because it'll prejudice the jury pool. Really, you've told the world that you have both a confession from him in his text to his boyfriend and the murder weapon with his fingerprints on it. I think you've got a pretty solid case. So why is it so difficult to just explain? So I have said from the beginning, if you don't like what Candace Owens is saying, why don't you call her and offer a more plausible explanation for what happened? Oh, she's bad. She's bad. Okay. I like her a lot. I don't think she's bad, but I love her actually. But let's just stipulate she's bad. But why wouldn't you do that? Because
I don't agree with some of the stuff that the rabbit hole she goes down, but
I don't even know.
But I like the fact that she likes to dig in the garden,
Thea, we are in this garden, okay? And we're not getting out of this garden with the Fed slop narrative. We're just not getting out of the garden with trying to emotionally manipulate us and say it's not. This feels like COVID, right? It's not like COVID-19. It's like Candace 19. It's another fake. It's a fake virus. Like, oh, you got infected. You just can't do it. 6 feet social distancing from Candace Owens. We're gonna get every influencer on social media. 6 feet social distancing. Save lives. What are you, a grandma killer? What, you just don't like him? What? And then Tim's all fired up. And she's a C-word. People are gonna die if you don't get this vaccine. And I'm like, I feel like maybe the government's not telling us the truth. We're right back to that, but it's Candace 19. It's Candace 19. That's what it is. And they think that maybe if they put the little 6 feet social distancing pads in the grocery store, that the PSYOP will win and make us believe that this is like common sense is the virus. I'm the common sense virus. It's coming around. It's so evil. Stay at home, wear a mask, save lives. You don't want to catch it. You don't want to catch the common sense, you guys. You don't want to catch it. Anyways, I dare. I'm sorry, I dare. And I have been very careful because I wasn't sure what direction she was going to go. If she was like, I was like, look, she's got a whole business that she's got to figure out. There's a lot of people in her ear. Maybe they like did this transition too quickly and she's just like keeping her head. Like, no, what she's saying is Turning Point USA is untouchable. And it's a no from me. But you know me, I'm just out here saying what needs to be said. We'll be right back after a brief message from our sponsors. All right, you guys, when they double down on abortion, we know that we have to double down on supporting life. Through our partnership with Preborn, we can help save babies and support mothers in need. Every day, Preborn's clinics rescue hundreds of babies because when a mother sees confirmed from people currently stationed on the base that JTF is indeed using a building, I'm not going to name the building, I know the exact one, because I don't want to, accidentally violate national security. But effectively, they are borrowing a building, so it's effectively unmarked in that sense. And that building has been turned into, please forgive me if I get this wrong, but I'm reading it direct from the email, SCIF, which stands for a Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, okay? So they have since added barbed wire around that facility for additional security. Cell phones and other electronics are not allowed. This is where he saw the meeting, by the way, unless they are government issued. They are not allowed in that building. And it requires top clearance to be granted access into that building. Again, we have now verified this outside of this individual who was definitively telling the truth. He sent me so much documentation that it was like, I could have showed you everything. His old passport, his new passport, his military ID card, hotels, it's books, times, text messages, phone call logs with his wife. It just really is a circumstance that this man has either the worst or the best luck ever when it comes to him sort of stumbling upon military operations, right? First, he finds this cartel tunnel when he's 20. Now we fast forward, he's 56, and he just was getting some coffee, and someone's like, that's the old boys are getting back together in this unmarked building. And he stumbles in there. It also, by the way, does provide an explanation for why they panicked when he just walked in there, because they were like, he should not have known that this building was here. They didn't buy his excuse. 7 hours later, they allowed him to leave, or Captain Neff allowed him to leave. Now, we can also give you some more information that gets really interesting, okay? Remember, Harry told me that seeing that many, I hope it's 06, is it 06? Do not email me, okay? He said it is not common unless, and he specifically said, there were some high-ranking congressional member or someone close to the president, like the vice president. Well, we received another tip that makes things especially compelling. So I'm going to just read you this email in its entirety. We have fact-checked it. It is true. Trust us to fact-check stuff, by the way, guys, we would not just randomly be like, thumbs up. We're just going to go with that. This person writes, I just wanted to bring to your attention that on September 8th, that's when he says that he saw some funny business, 2025, a U.S. government plane, a special air mission plane, caught my eye. This is what I found about that particular plane that is based out of Andrews Air Force Base, shown as Camp Springs below. U.S. Air Force C-37A Gulfstream is Gulfstream 5 is a VIP jet, part of a unit that caters to senior members of the executive branch and Congress. Plane number is 99-0404, as you'll see on the screenshot below. On September 7th, the plane flew from Andrews to Colorado Springs. On September 8th, it flew from Colorado Springs to Tucson, then 5 hours later from Tucson, and then the transponder appears to be turned off. However, at 12:31 p.m. on September 9th, it flies from Fort Huachuca to El Paso, and then El Paso back to St. Andrews. Now, why is that interesting? Okay, because that means the timeline that he gave us is exactly right. This meeting took place early in the morning. I think it was 7:37 where all this happened, and then he said he assumed it was like a high-ranking congressional person or somebody that potentially could be in the cabinet. This guy is saying that's what that plane is used for, and he also brings in El Paso. Remember, El Paso, Texas is where all those weird flights were coming from on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination. So that is extremely compelling. And like I said, I haven't spoken to this individual who is planning to come out and do podcasts and speak about that. He's trying to figure it out, which I'm going to help him with this weekend to figure out whose show he can go on and speak more. It's lining up. Like this is actually tracking. I had a sense when I spoke to him that his memory could be trusted. Okay. He was very forthright. He was very honest. I mean, he was so honest that he was like, when I said, oh, is it maybe this, Captain Neff? He was like, ma'am, like I don't want to give you any information that's wrong. I would put that at about maybe 60 to 65% that it could be this person, until I gave him the correct Neff, and he was like 100% that's the guy that questioned me. So I trust him. And by the way, his heart exploded when I told him about all the emails of people that were in the military currently that were very moved by his story, people who have had the experience of doing the right thing in the military and being treated as though they did something wrong for doing their job and serving the American people. Everybody knows there's corruption everywhere, especially at the top. And to all the service members that sent those emails, I want you to know that he said he was close to tears, and he was just on his knees, him and his wife, just thanking God, because they never thought their story was ever going to come out about what happened to him when he was 20. And that is just something that is really, that's why I said there's so much God in this, because like he either has the best or worst luck, but he just happens to be in the wrong place at the right time, maybe in the right place at the wrong time. Who knows? History will tell us. Continuing the rest of that email from the person who gave us that tip about this plane, he concludes it by saying, this is the only time that I have noticed that this plane was in Fort Huachuca. If your contact that you mentioned yesterday saw this group of men in the morning, it could line up well with what this aircraft leaving at 11:43 a.m. on the 9th. From other searches I've done, it appears that Pam Bondi flew on this plane approximately 5 months ago from Tampa area back to DC. I am looking into other flights. Please be safe and God bless. Guys, we have a clue. And we should keep going with that. I don't know. I when he contacted me, it was the way I told you. It went about me praying and then suddenly I get this email. And I speak to him, and he's like so credible and just gives everything. I think we need to keep prodding this narrative of what happened and what he said that he saw, and he described it as a meeting that when the operation is being finalized, a finalization meeting. And he seems like he knows what he's speaking about. So that's what I have for you guys today. Oh wait, there's also something else about that plane. I got to bring in Mark to mansplain it. I'll just bring you on, Mark. I'm not even gonna tee you up there. Just come on.
Thank you. Great introduction. So I was looking at the logs for that flight, and the flights in question are towards the center of the screen. You can see it goes from Tucson. The transponder goes dark. That's what that dash means there. But what really stood out to me were the call signs, which are basically the fourth column from the left. So you can see it's using RCH, which is reach. That's a standard Air Force call sign designator. But when someone important is on the plane, it switches their call sign to SAM, which stands, as you said, for Special Air Mission, which is typically reserved for people like the Vice President, Cabinet Secretaries, senior officials of the executive branch, congressional delegations, and other senior political leaders. So what that tells me is the call sign from Tucson to Fort Huachuca is a standard reach. Everything before that is as well. But once it gets to Fort Huachuca and takes off, it switches to SAM. So that tells me they picked up someone of that stature in Fort Huachuca. And then just to avoid confusion, the Venus call sign is just when the plane is empty, doesn't have anyone on it.
It's actually very, very helpful. And I think, like I said, there's something here. There is definitely something here. And I do believe that God put that man, again, he has the worst luck. Our guy, Harry, has the worst luck down, or the best luck down in Fort Huachuca.
They just need a little counseling, a little wisdom, a little guidance, and a little encouragement of you go. We're counting on you. Do it right. Now, they can't date for the life of them. They don't know how to go and talk to the opposite sex. I get it. They don't know what talking to the opposite sex is for anymore. And they need some help with that. Remember in It's a Wonderful Life, he goes, you going to talk her to death or you going to kiss her? Oh, youth is wasted on the wrong people.
Bother me about, not to mention, Jack Smith was also way back when encouraging Lois Lerner to go after conservatives. So I think there's lots of things we want to ask him about, but you're right. It's better to get him behind closed doors first. That doesn't preclude us bringing him into a public hearing later.
Okay, now this piece of the argument is what's the most relevant. Jack Smith, they subpoenaed him. There's an argument over do they get him behind closed doors or out in public? And Jim Jordan just made a very good point that is not immediately aware to other commentators that are just trying to get you angry. He said, look, we want a shot at him behind closed doors before he goes public with his testimony. Jack Smith, in his response to Congress, said I would be glad to come testify if it's only in public and it's only for like 15 minutes and if it's only if I get immunity, which I'm not that big on. I don't have as big of a problem with immunity. My goal is not to throw Jack Smith in prison, although he should obviously be in prison for life, that good-for-nothing criminal. I'm more concerned with the truth getting out. If the truth gets out, millions of us can learn from it. If he gets immunity, you know what I mean? You can't have recourse against him if he pleads the fifth the whole time or whatever he says. You're not going to get justice on him. Big deal. That's not the bigger thing. I want the truth. I care about the truth. In fact, that's all I care about, because you can have a bad Jack Smith apple in America's history. America's history would survive a Jack Smith if what he did came out in public. If it does not come out in public, whether if it's secret or whatever, we will not survive it. And that's our problem, is what the Democrats did in the last 4 to 8 years. And people that are in the chat going, nothing will happen, nothing will happen. You got it wrong. You got it wrong. What needs to happen is the truth must come out first. And I mean with all of the emails, all of the evidence in public, on camera, not some secret website where they go, I have Epstein, the subpoena of this guy, of this. No, that's all Scooby-Doo. That's all fake news. It's all rumor. Did we land on the moon or not? Was JFK assassinated? Are there UFOs? I'm not talking about that evidence, guys. That saves nothing. Saves nothing. What's wrong with America right now is you have our Constitution is threatened by the Democrats. If they pack that Supreme Court, they're going to change the Constitution forever. We have to absolutely defeat this Democrat Party, which is trying to turn America, change it forever, into a socialist, anti-meritocratic, pure politicizing of government empire, and they're going to ruin it.
Which we may in fact do, but we want that hour-long session where our good counsel can ask him questions, then it goes to the Democrats, then back to us, and you can go all day long. And I've seen you in action in those kind of sessions where you can have a witness for an hour. That's a whole different issue, a whole different situation than when you just get 5 minutes in a public hearing.
Yeah. Jack Smith wants to just do 5 minutes in a public hearing, which is essentially making a statement of I'm innocent and boo-hoo to you if you gave him immunity. Do not give him immunity. And by the way, they've got like at least 3 different ways that they can get Jack Smith. So even if this one fails, they can always go back and get him again. Same thing with Jim Comey, the crook with the Obama administration. They've got 3 ways to get him, 3 ways to get Christopher Wray. So just because one way goes down doesn't mean they all go away. Do you guys agree? In the chat, tell me, do you want the truth? Would you rather have the truth get out? Because people will say, oh, Jim Jordan, all he does is talk. By the way, guys, I got news for you. Congress's oversight, about 99% of it is just talk. It's always been just talk. 99% of the Congress, going back to the founders, is deliberation, debate, calling each other names, making arguments. It's the public record. So arrests are rare, but I'll take the truth. It's what we're going to need. Trump, and still, guys, we have massive public lies by the Democrat still standing that have not been fully shaken out by this congressional body. They've got more work to do, much more. I want to see it 24/7.
Yeah, Chairman, you and I have been in so many of these together. The depositions, the hearings. I mean, I think the way you're doing it, I'm convinced the way you're doing it.
By the way, some of you complain that my microphone blows out when I'm talking, and the actual recording, I get it. It's a little quieter, so you jack the sound up on one, and then I'm blowing out the other. Sorry, I can't do anything about it live. I'm just, with apologies for some of that sound problems you might have.
Doing it is the right way. I mean, why would I give Jim Jordan 5 minutes when I can give him 5 hours? I mean, I would rather you have 5 hours. Sure, people in the television business like me would love that 5-minute questioning and that hearing. But if you want the truth, why not do it your way, which is do both? Get the
Trey Gowdy's right. What people are asking for, what they want, is the public testimony of Jack Smith on camera so I get clicks. And Trey Gowdy's saying the same thing on Fox News. I would prefer those 5 minutes because then I get clicks, I make money. But you know what's better? Jim Jordan's way. 5 hours behind off camera, privately, both Democrats and Republicans, cross-examining the living daylights out of them. That's how you get the truth out of them, under oath. And then he might perjure himself if he gets caught in a lie. That's what I'm rooting for.
substantive stuff first all day long and then share what you want publicly.
Yeah, and Trey, we've already brought in 3 of his deputies. In fact, one of them, Thomas Wyndham, we actually referred to the Justice Department. We believe, and we don't do this very often, but the facts have to be there if we're going to refer someone for indictment to the Justice Department.
That's right. Facts before indictment, guys. Everyone wants to go straight to arrests. The facts have to be there before we can indict. So let's give them 5 hours worth of facts behind closed doors instead of 5 minutes of clickbait that'll help my channel, but will not produce enough facts to indict them and make it stick. That's how this stuff works. They don't tell you that. They just go, nothing will change. No one gets arrested. No one gets arrested. Okay, guys. If you have not given me a thumbs up yet, look, we have 2,000 live viewers simultaneous. Those are big numbers. Give me a thumbs up, and that'll help push the show out. And it makes me feel better. It helps repair my crippled self-image. Look, here's where I got, this is, the next one's going to be where I got the thumbnail from. Jack Smith wants to hide behind a 5-minute hearing circus. This is more of the theory on that.
Former special counsel Jack Smith has been subpoenaed by the House Judiciary Committee for a closed-door deposition on December 17th, supposedly focusing on Smith's work targeting President Trump. You sit on that committee, and so I sort of a two-part question. Number one, what's the goal of the deposition? And 2, what, if anything, do you or should we expect to come of it?
What's going to happen?
Yes, I'm on the House Judiciary Committee. I'll be involved with that deposition. It's next week on Wednesday, I believe. The goal of this is to get information, to conduct our investigation that Jack Smith has not been cooperative with since we took power, since President Trump took office. And in fact, during the Biden years, we were asking for information that the Biden administration was not forthcoming with. And so we requested Jack Smith sit in a deposition, provide information. He refused to do that. He said, we're going to offer to come in for a hearing where members only get 5 minutes and it's more circus-like.
Yeah, we're not taking that offer. They're not falling for it, guys. They have to still negotiate this. It's supposed to be a week from this Wednesday. Here's a great comment. Look at this. To the Pam Bondi haters, which most of the time I honestly am one too, he says. Cassie says, sorry. I found out today she is understaffed by 200 people. By the way, Cassie, if you watch this show, you'd have heard that over 2 months ago when I first started defending Pam Bondi. I told that truth about her being massively understaffed. This is why I said do not touch the Epstein files because you're going to have to devote a certain amount of staff to something that will help nothing. And notice again, guys, no matter how much was released to you, no matter how much everyone promised you, everyone released everything, everyone got subpoenaed, everything got this, oh, we're going to release more. Not one new fact came out because my suspicion is there's no facts to find. There's nothing there. They've promised this now for 8 years. It's a nothing burger until I see one new fact. There's not one new fact. Everything is are lies, conspiracies, fake news, social media. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Look at that, we're up to 2,200. You guys gave me a thumbs up and I got 200 more people coming in. See how YouTube responds to you looking and liking, and they go, holy cow, push this show out to more. Then it goes out to more people. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys. I have the best audience. You guys do great work. I found out today she's understaffed by over 200 people. I'm not excusing her mess ups, but that gave me perspective. Cassie, I've been giving my audience that perspective now for over 2 months. Grossly understaffed. By the way, it's not just Pam Bondi. It's also Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Janine Pirro has said the same thing. Harmeet Dillon has said the same thing. They can't find enough lawyers, legal experts, ICE agents, Border Patrol. They can't get enough people. That's why the White House, they're running commercials right now saying, ICE needs you. Come, we will hire you for ICE. The FBI needs you. Come apply to the FBI. My son's a biologist, an environmental biologist in college in his senior year. I go, look, if you want to drop out and join the FBI or ICE, get in there.